Guys, welcome to my backyard garden tour. It is Tuesday, June 1st. I'm Molly Sanyour. I'm actually a high school ceramics teacher and have my own ceramics business, Molly Sanyour Ceramics, where you might have seen my work with Lizzo when she was naked, just holding my butt mug in front of her at the Dove interview. But during the pandemic, I also grew a green thumb, and when space was limited and my house is tiny, I expanded my outdoor garden space. And so now I just think it's fun. I would have never thought I would have been a plant garden person, but I am now. So I think it's fun to bring you on my tours. And so also I can look back at my garden from year to year and season to season and see what was in bloom and what's been dying out. So let's go for a tour. Here we go. First, my pomegranate tree. This was a gift from my dad, who has a shade garden, and I have the full sun. And the first 5 years, it grew no pomegranates. And after like 5 years, grew one. The next year, it grew three. And now it grows more than we can really even eat in the season. This gooseneck loose strife from my parents' friend, put it in the pot because apparently it spreads, which is my second season with it, and I love that it's coming back. This fig tree from my sister's garden, she was getting rid of it, and we wheeled it over literally in a wagon. And I've got a fig. It's looking happy. When I got it, it was about this tall. My mint also, I've been told it spreads, so I've kept it in my old garden hose roll-up container. Under here and over here from my parents' garden, they brought me some of this black and blue salvia that's coming back. I brought out some of my planters. So these are the planters I make. These are my big belly planters. Let's get the whole, 360, because that's what they are about. And then, here's another planter. I just watered my ferns. And so there they are in my planter. I love making pots I can use, and I love cooking. So I have my herb garden. These have all flowered, my sage. But look, it's coming back nicely. Some parsley, which is also, I should probably cut it back. It's all bloomed. My chives are still doing great. My patio, my dad and I built this patio. It's non-functional, it's more decorative. Mondo grass around it. I have to weed it constantly, but I love it. Here we just sprinkled some seeds for some cilantro and basil. So we got one basil, and the cilantro is really doing well. Some arugula over here, and most recently I had some sprouting potatoes that I planted here. I had peonies. My daylilies are about to bloom. Oyster shells, because our family, we eat a lot of oysters in like the holiday seasons. The autumn joy sedum will bloom in a little bit. My red hot poker lilies already bloomed. There's a few more remnants over here. I hope y'all saw those on the garden tour, because these are like my favorite. They look so pretty, and now they're like done, but they literally look like a red rocket. So I need to cut those back. Speaking of cutting back, this is the Miss Molly butterfly bush. Blooms nonstop all summer, but it's been looking kind of raggedy. So a few weeks ago, I went live and chopped it all back. So she's looking happy coming back. The irises, they already bloomed. They were beautiful. I just deadheaded some of these, so I hope they'll pop again of color. Now this planter was inside all winter. This planter and big belly inside all winter, thriving. The leaves were thriving. There's like 5 leaves. Brought it outside, and it's just looking so unhappy. I've cut all the other leaves because they looked awful, and I'm stuck with this one lone leaf. But I have to bring the pots inside because the pottery would shatter in the freezing temperatures here in Richmond, Virginia. So they come in during the winter, and now I'm just kind of sad. I might just need to get a new plant in there. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. Maybe I chop it off and let her grow back. I don't know if I'm overwatering. My roses, love these because they bloom all summer. Love this magenta. But I do need to come out here and start deadheading all of these old blooms to get some new blooms. But look at this little patch. Love these. And then the Rose of Sharon, I've had these for years. They'll bloom all summer once they start. And I had, what did I have there? They never came back. Oh, the canna lilies. The canna lilies I loved them, but they never came back. And so I have these 2 Rose of Sharon. And I like the Rose of Sharon, and they're blooming, so I use them to also kind of corner out my dining area over here. So another Rose of Sharon. They haven't started blooming yet. This spirea, though, right in the middle, is looking happy before the dead heat of the sun comes, and it will dry it all out. And then I have some salvia blooming. Salvia. And I don't know if I showed you all these seeds. My kale. This one, I've got kale, different types of kale, and some spinach. We've got tomatoes growing over here. And these just replanted themselves. The old tomatoes, my dad actually taught me and showed me, if you take the tomatoes as they're rotting, you just squeeze them and throw them back in the ground, they'll just regrow. So I haven't planted any tomatoes this season, and they're all coming back. My rain barrel is really full. And then the hydrangeas, they're finally blooming. Got 3 different types of hydrangeas, and these, what are these, ice plants? This ice plant is looking really good. This I got from the Charlie Brown side of the plant, of the nursery. It was half off because it was so unhappy looking. And look, she's so happy here. Did I write a type? A smooth hydrangea. So that's a smooth hydrangea. I don't know the name of this hydrangea. It's from my sister's garden. They were, again, getting rid of some plants. And the first 2 years that this plant has been with me, never bloomed, I don't think. And look, finally some blooms. So that's exciting. And then this one, this oak leaf hydrangea is happy. This hydrangea has been moved in my garden. It was right along the fence because I used to have a tree here, but then the tree fell on my house. So then there was too much sun. So I moved them over here, and then I wanted to decorate Hosta Alley. So I moved them all down here and I put them on along the fence, but as you see, along the fence gets full sun. So I had to move the hostas over here to the shade, and this is Hosta Alley. So all of these hostas, once upon a time, lived under the tree that was planted there. It was a huge walnut tree, huge. So all of these hostas needed a new home, they needed shade, and this whole alley had literally nothing in it. And then the pandemic hit, and I had time to dig garden beds, and all these bricks are also from my sister's garden. Shout out to Rodney and Blair for renovating their own backyard and letting me take their old brick to complete this look. The moss is just growing naturally. This hellebora was already planted back here and will bloom, which is exciting. I should probably deadhead these old blooms. But this, the Dusty Miller, I bought years ago to decorate the big belly planter, and people told me that it's just an annual, so it will die every year. And I planted it back here, and it just keeps coming back. Now there was some on this side that did not come back, but this side is thriving. I did plant this climbing rose, and when I got this climbing rose, she only came up to here. So it's really fun to watch her grow and bloom. And again, I need to come and give her some love and deadhead all these old blooms so that she can thrive again. But these hostas are happy over here in the shade. And then my mom from her garden gave me this hardy begonia that always seems to take a while to get going, but here she is. Another hosta. This Akuba was here when I got the house and filled out this whole area. So my mom actually just helped me cut it back. And now this Persicaria red dragon from my parents' garden, they gave me this, can have a little bit more room to grow. And I can even plant something else. So this is, and I do walk around barefoot, which I should not because I do get splinters. But this moss is so soft. So that's Hosta Alley, one of my favorites, a little shady nook. And I feel like as a kid, I always thought it was fun to go in gardens that had pathways leading you places. And then this, I'm also really excited about. This is a garden bed, just like during COVID, I had made 1, 2, my herb. So 1, 2, 3, 4 garden beds to grow my own food because, you know, we all need it to be able to survive on our own. And I ended up finding these wildflowers. And these wildflowers I've done now 3 or 4 years, and it takes them a while to get going, but I literally just sprinkled the seeds in the fresh garden bed and just kept them watered, and they will bloom into October. And you can cut them for your vases. So that's really exciting. My first year I did corn here, and I got 2 rounds of corn. But corn is, you know, it takes a lot, but maybe I should plant some more corn. And then, so I found that the kale and the arugula is so easy. You just sprinkle the seeds, they grow back pretty quickly. So then we go to the dining area, which I always wanted kind of at the archway trellis, and something growing that smelled good, because this is the dining room and I know you shouldn't smell while you eat, but I wanted it to be fragrant and like pretty out here. So this star jasmine, I think, was looking terrible after the winter, and I cut her all back down, and now she's thriving and looking happy. So hopefully she will grow and cover this and create some fragrance for this area. From this angle, my rose of Sharon's, some ground covering, the dianthus, the tiny rubies, which always make a nice pop of color. And then over here, I love the contrast of the smoke bush tree and the deutzia, which they were just flowering and blossoming for a while, or in bloom. These white flowers that looked really pretty. My smoke bush tree, I'm just happy that she's full of leaves and looking healthy, because when I first got her, she looked not very healthy and barely grew at all. So now she has this little stalk growing out. But would I love for her to bloom and flower? Yeah. I want to see what these smoke bush blossoms are going to look like. I've seen them on other people's trees, but never on this one. And then this is supposed to be like my pink area. So the clethra is supposed to be a fragranty pink bloom, but she struggled being there, so we'll see how she does this season. This moly grass will grow and then have a pink flower. And then the sonic bloom weigelia already bloomed and had beautiful pink flowers. And then I had the flamingo coxcomb. I had 1, 2, 3, and they were from my parents' friend's garden, and I didn't know what they were going to do, and they grew and they filled this whole area with pinks and greens that were like so beautiful. The pollinators freaking loved them. They got so tall that they started to pull away from the fence, and I tried to tie them to the wall, and it was like so hard to get in there because of all of the pollinators, which I guess was really good that they were so happy. So now my question to y'all, use the comments, the flamingo coxcomb, okay? That's it from last year. Nothing's coming back. What is this plant? I don't think that's flamingo coxcomb, but is it? And then if it's not flamingo coxcomb, could this be flamingo coxcomb? And this is growing all around outside of this garden bed. So there's some here, there's a whole patch here. Could this be flamingo coxcomb that's coming back, and I need to just dig it up and replant it back over here? Because if that's the case, that would be amazing. This camellia bush has never really thrived over here. That's from my parents' friends also. So, but I just don't think that she's been happy in this corner. So here's the garden area. This golden mop cypress from my parents' garden. They actually never even took it out of the pot. I guess she realized she didn't have a place for it, so I got lucky. And my mock orange from Ben and Nancy, my parents' neighbors. This smelled so fragrant, so good, all these blooms. So I should probably trim that back a little bit. My peonies were all popping and were a hot magenta that looked great. The sedums will bloom eventually. And then over here, I had planted some agastache and some bee balm, and I think this is the bee balm coming back. Could be wrong, it could be the agastache, but I planted some there, and there's also some coming back over here. So that's exciting that that's coming back, because meanwhile this area is kind of pitiful. Then, so when the tree fell on my house, I was like, let's make a swing area. So this is the swing area. Actually, one of my friends had a swing, and it was so nice. But as soon as you sit in the swing, you don't want to get out of the swing. So unless there's a swing for everybody, you got to share. So I thought swings for everybody would be great. So over here, this other shady patch, my student gave me this hydrangea as a, teacher appreciation gift, which I just adore. I think that was the best thing ever. So just planted it. It already had blooms, so I think that that's fine that those blooms are going away. But I do think I should maybe scoot it over, because I planted it really close to this hydrangea that my parents gave me from their garden. And last year, she was new last year, I think, and kind of struggled. But this year, look, so full. The stalks are looking strong. And then you can see the roses from this side. So I love these roses because they fill in and create all that color all season. So that Did we talk about Big Belly? My other, like my pride and joy ceramic piece that I made after taking a workshop with Andrea Keys Cannell about building big in a small kiln. And we collaborated, and I did a figure of Jack Nicholson on the beach with my group, but we couldn't really take it home. So when I got home, I just wanted to make my own Big Belly planter. And now we're just trying to get her thriving. Which again, the shock from being outside or inside all winter to outside, I cut off a bunch of the leaves, and now she's coming back. And shout out to Sarah Whitmore, my other parents' neighbors. My parents had the best neighbors, for the elephant ears. They are so exciting. I love them. So I think that's the garden tour. Did we talk about the irises? They were looking really good, and they gave me like 2 rounds of blooms. Now they're kind of done. Okay, well, that's my tour today. Hope that y'all enjoyed, and I hope that y'all be back to see the garden later in the year. Thanks for following along. Again, I'm Molly Sanyour. This is my little backyard garden that I created during COVID just to have more space outdoors and to grow my own food, because I love to cook, which is part of why I love being a potter, because I can make my own dishes for my dishes, and then I can serve them back there, my little dining area. So happy Tuesday. See y'all for the next garden tour, pottery videos, travel videos. I'm about to go traveling. Let me know what y'all want to see in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Bye. Oh, make sure you subscribe to my channel.